All right, I'd like to say welcome and glad everybody could make it and thank you for coming. I think first thing I'd like to go through is you want to go through some of the ground rules now, but they're very important because the bathrooms are involved with it.
So as I think I mentioned, the meeting will be recorded, so there are some people on Zoom. So just to speak loudly if you have questions so they can hear people on Zoom, if you could turn your mic off unless you have a question. And you may utilize the chat if you have a question that comes up. But yeah, just some of the background noise makes the Zoom hard to hear. Then just a few basics. Obviously, we have coffee, water, rolls. Help yourself. The restrooms are out here. Take a left and another left.
Down the hallway.
Yep, down the hallway. And we will be breaking for lunch about 11:45, and they will be setting that up in the bar area, and it's a buffet, and then we'll be able to eat over there. So, then I did route around that email contact list to all the counties. So hopefully, I think you guys have all gotten that back to me. And because everyone signed in, one missing, there's prizes. So if you want to make sure your name is on here. That's all I have for housekeeping, fun stuff.
Guess I should, we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Mike Taylor and I'm the administrator.
Erica Swenson, Board Director, HR Director.
Gwen Gillespie, Development Director.
Julie Brown, Financial and Tax.
Liz David.
Shannon.
Yeah, Shannon Alfred. I support payroll and HR.
And the board does all the CPT, payroll and
Yeah.
financial. So she's the one billing you, so.
Yeah.
Have any problems?
Uh-oh.
Talk to her. No, I'm kidding.
Uh-oh. You really?
And I'm Heidi. I support the HR, payroll, and portal programs.
We want to go around, yeah.
Yes.
I'm Erica from McKenzie County, and we're an auditor treasurer.
And we,
Happy comments, my turn. Lisa, that's a tax track. Nicole Rock, deputy auditor.
Emily Waldo, Grace County Deputy Auditor.
Nancy Eli, Grace County's treasurer. Julie Benton, Lawrence County auditor. Joe Grants, Barnes County deputy auditor.
Debbie Barnes County Treasurer.
I can't have. No, I said go away. Tax director.
and I'd really like to welcome Griggs County. They're new to our group. New to this meeting, so I think that's all for introductions. We have contract, we did the contract renewal to, get it another year, and Heidi, I think we have all but two.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for that, and then what else we have?
No, we're just gonna talk about
Oh, the
meetings.
meetings, yes.
So kind of wanted some feedback from you guys on, because we'd really like to do an in-person meeting every year, but obviously we have kind of spread out locations for our counties. What's a good plan? What would you like to see? Bismarck one year, Fargo another year, rotate other cities, do a Zoom one year, and then in person the next year, rotating. Does anyone have any thoughts or suggestions?
And last year we did it at the same time
Yes.
as the auditors meeting.
Yes. Which was handy for the auditors, but then we received feedback, then other people couldn't really come to the meeting because the auditors were gone. So thoughts from anyone?
I like the in-person meetings.
Sometimes it's hard to explain what I'm looking at and what I mean. And the opportunity to West.
Yeah. Yeah, and network with other counties.
That's what I think.
Great, I mean, it's, these
That's
people
what I
are
think
your
is a
best
lot easier
resource.
in person is
Yeah.
the networking. That's my opinion.
Other than McKinsey, what's the farthest west?
You
Probably-
can for this.
But I mean, like Barnes County, I'm trying to think of like central for most, other than that we're the exception. So if you take McKinsey County out of it, where's
where's the
middle?
balance at?
You're north of Jamestown or you north of Dallas? Okay.
I don't think this much.
Yeah, I said it was-
Jamestown.
I would think Jamestown, yeah, that's a 4.5 hour drive.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just knowing, I'm fine if we shift east a bit. I mean, Jamestown is a 4.5 hour drive for me, Bismarck is 3, like, it's fine, either way.
I really do like Watford City though.
You can.
You're
welcome there. You're all welcome there.
Yeah,
We went there for the North Dakota, so we went to the North Dakota one and the Rough Rider Center.
At the Rough Riders. Center.
And I took pictures of it, because it's really a nice facility, and I sent it to my daughter, she wants to move to Watford City now.
long trip.
And that was only one building, but we have other very nice buildings.
Yes, and you hosted 2 years at your county, our user meeting, which, yeah, you guys have a great setup for that.
But yes, just know that I'm fine, Bismarck, Jamestown, Valley City, Park, wherever.
Okay.
It doesn't matter too much.
It doesn't matter, you bring your daughter.
Probably will bring them, yeah.
So rotating like between Jamestown and Bismarck or Jamestown?
Jamestown have a place we can meet.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
we've
we have-
been there before.
Yeah, we met
Yeah.
there once.
I
Yeah.
couldn't do that hotel unless there's new management, because we had some issues unfortunately, but yes, there are a couple hotels with meeting facilities. So. Any
But-
other-
Consensus kind of is in person rather than Zoom. Okay. And I think the rotate would work
Yeah.
fine.
The other reason I like in person is because when I'm at my desk on a Zoom, I get interrupted all the time. Because
Yeah.
even if you say you're on Zoom, people,
Yes.
well, you're here,
People-
it's not important, so.
The thing that I've noticed is it seems like it's so much more difficult to get a
Right.
dialogue going.
Yes.
Sorry.
Well, and that's why we always give them to go muting, because a lot of people do that, and then they don't mute, and then you're in the middle, and yeah, it can be distracting, but.
That said, you could still also, just in case.
Yes, yep, which is what we're doing today. Yep. And then what about time of year? I mean, is this kind of the end of July still good? Because I know that's kind of historically when we've had it, like the last Thursday in July.
I think that's a good time in a legislative year. We're past session. You guys probably have had some time to ingest.
Yeah.
We can talk about upcoming changes before taxes.
Yeah,
In-
this-
In an
Really,
election
June, like,
year, we're still.
June would be too early, that would
June
still
would be-
be.
And in an election year, we don't want to meet in June.
Right.
Oh, that's right. 'cause
That's
you
what we're
have
trying to
primary.
do. So the end of July,
It's
we're-
fun already.
I love elections, but not like everything on top of each other. So I think this time works.
Okay, good. Well, thank you. And if any other thoughts come to mind, feel free to reach out, or if you aren't comfortable saying it in the group, you can email us and we'll make those plans then going forward for next year. Then along with that, other meetings like North Dakota meetings, you guys went to the Auditor Treasurer Conference last year and this year. I know there are other annual meetings, and we go to some of those in Minnesota for different groups, assessors, help me out here.
Well, no,
AMC, Association of Minnesota Counties, things like that. So do you guys think there's anything that would be valuable for us to have a vendor spot at some of those events? Or
Oh.
other things that you would go, yeah,
is there a fall one?
Yeah.
Is that like a legislative one? or is
North
that-
Dakota Association of Counties
yes.
Okay.
meeting. This year it's really late in October. It's like the last week of October
In Bismarck.
in Bismarck.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love seeing you guys all the time, but understand you also have to decide where's best for
Who
you.
attends that?
everyone. So you'd see not only auditors and treasurers, tax directors are there, commissioners are there. Every county official. Yeah.
That would be probably good then.
Oh, that would, like, love to have your support at our auditor treasurer summer conference, but like, if a vendor booth, I would say the NDACO one in October would probably be, like, you catch like Katie and the other tax directors.
I think that's what we were wondering. We weren't
Yeah,
sure
that's the
who-
one I had.
who all
that we
goes to
were
that.
wondering.
The auditor treasurer's conference is really intimate because we don't, so you get usually a little bit more face time, but there's still that same opportunity at the October conference. It's just bigger.
Any other guests?
And did they do anything in the more?
No, the assessors meet in August, right after equalization. But I don't know what their,
Didn't they have some people this past year with the city and the county government together in February? Like
they did during the session, yes.
Yeah, they brought everybody together.
Yeah, but I don't think there was vendors there. It was just a meeting to talk about legislative updates, what was going on in the session.
But the October one, that one, they do have a vendor.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the one I think I'd emailed
Yeah.
you guys. I don't know.
and more vendor time than we
Yeah.
offer at the auditors and treasurers conference.
Okay.
One thing I should say is we do, and they're more on the Minnesota side and they're training right now. We do have 2 new employees in the office, Carter Blair and Val Howell. So if you come across those names, they're kind of bringing them out on the support side. I suppose we should. We do have a new another developer that we hired also, and actually was an intern for us, and she wanted to stay on. So we're in the process of hiring her as a full-time developer. So that's
And we're hopefully working on a building renovation, which doesn't really
Yeah.
impact you guys, but we're trying to get that. Because we bought the neighboring building, well, excuse me, we used to rent from the original owner of the building and he was on the other side. Then we purchased the whole building, so we have kind of a lot of dead space that's not being utilized correctly and you're growing, as Mike said, so we could use some of that. So, yeah, that's all, I guess.
that's all I've got. Any questions before we start? Or comments? Or... Well, thank you again, all everybody for coming. And without further ado,
Julie.
I'll be the way. Oh, and just so we are recording this meeting, so we will put something out there. I'll do that.
Yeah, I'm Julie Bruns and I support financial on Dominique. I am just gonna touch things. I'm gonna talk about the warrant process, the auditor and commissioner process. They're both similar types. When you want to use them, how you want to use them. I know a lot of you use the auditor for your tax push. That sort of things. So your voucher batch is going to, you can have 6 to add your own, want to enter them in. They can come from, like I said, your warrant batch for your tax apportionment, payroll. I know a lot of you have your this interface. Your voucher batches. So. Oh, so once you're done entering your checks to be paid out, we will want to repeat process and make sure you are checking that date because it'll grab today's date. So if you want to pay it or if you want to pay it tomorrow, make sure that you are checking your dates. And then you are gonna go down to the next one, which is to create the warrant batch. You're gonna grab. Once you hit the F6, you're gonna go into grab those vouchers, make sure. Do all selective. If you grab all though, it's gonna take every batch that you ever created in there, so you might have one old one. Like delete. So I would recommend using the selective so that it shows all of them, so you can pick them, so you don't accidentally grab some. So we want batch. Then you're gonna, I would recommend doing one last check over those warrants to see if you have something that's in there, the amount is wrong, you have the wrong vendor, or something along that line, and then you can put your warrant number in, your ACH, again, grab the date of that payment. Then you can select what kind of report you want, if you want the regular one, the abbreviated one, both of them, because those reports will show up in your output for you to take a glance at.
Yeah.
A quick call for when you're entering it, put in a vendor number, you have several different line entries. It should pull up last. Which a lot of us didn't know it.
And then when you are processing your warrants, just keep in mind when you get to that place, if you're in the suspended status, you can still delete it. If you find that mistake, you can delete it. This is where you'll run your registered warrants, run your audit listings, run your reports, checking everything over. But once you process that, you can't do the registered warrants anymore. You're kind of in a situation. You can reverse it, but you can't delete it any longer. But you can reverse and copy it if you. But yeah, that register warrant option. And then be cautious of your dates too when you're processing all of your stuff.
Julie, can I ask a question? And this might be a development question. So we have some situations where we have a vendor that they have multiple transactions, but they need separate checks. And so we don't want them to aggregate onto one check. We want separate checks to print. And right now we have to do that in separate batches and then process each batch separately, which can be
Tedious.
a little frustrating at times. And we have a housing program that does helps people like with down payments on their homes. And so the title company requires everybody has a separate check made out to the title company. And I foresee this program going on for a long time, but we can have 10 or 15 checks sometimes that we have in separate batches. So I'm wondering if there's an option in the future to say, like, make a selection that we don't want to aggregate that vendor onto one check. So the system in one batch, we would say, no, don't aggregate.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility? We've tried using different vendor numbers, but that gets really confusing too.
Yeah, because that would work too.
Yes, but then again, we have 15
The
vendor
vendor
numbers
numbers.
to the same organization that doesn't make. So I'm just wondering if that would be something we could think about in the future, the option of whether or not we want those payments aggregated.
After that, the overall, Erica, like all that there's on that batch, or are you looking to actually separate?
I'm sure you'd have to flag it in the batch.
You know, just like we could flag for
Yeah.
capital assets or something like,
Yeah.
is this a capital asset? Yes. Like,
separate check.
right.
Yeah.
You want this as a separate check? Yes.
So just to clarify, I'm thinking down the road to reversal. You have to reverse a whole batch, right? If you reverse. So I think that would work. fine. A flag. Yeah. Okay.
Because I'm guessing there are other, I mean, we pay a lot of things by ACH, but there's some things we still have to pay by check. But I think that would be a really great enhancement to the system. So we're not.
Well,
having
it
to
would work
process-
for, well, of course, direct deposit would that work? but
I mean,
Yeah.
it could for direct
Yeah,
deposit, you
it-
could get two
yeah,
deposit
you
stubs,
would.
right?
yeah,
And even for some of our online vendors, like that we have, that can never apply payment correctly to the correct invoice. Like for them to have those dollars to tie out, would even be,
Yeah.
so not only print checks, I think even ACH, it would be helpful for our vendors to tie out their invoices to us.
because those direct deposits, I'm just thinking of how we label them. Don't we just label them with the vendor number? So we'd have to relabel them a little bit. But other than that, they're the same as the check.
It's really the paper, at least now, the paper
No,
check ones
but-
that
Might as well plan for,
plan for the future.
Yeah.
I'll cross that one off my list. Thank you.
I'm going to talk about the MVC, manual void and correct. This was my favorite thing. So first, I'm gonna talk about the manual note. A lot of people, well, I think a lot of you, some of you still have a paper checkbook that you still write out checks. The M part is where you want to use the, this part, or if you have a bank pulls something out of your account, this is where you'll want to use that. Okay. So yeah, this is where you can, the check needs to be written in an EFT, bank fees. We use this a lot for, yeah, bank fees, EFTs that were coming out of your account. This option. It's just kind of, I always thought of it as like a check, but you're not getting any physical thing out of it. So it's just like the warrant process. You're gonna put the warrant number in, the date, vendor number, the account formula, your amount, the description. I added one quick down here for CPT. So yeah, it's just like CPT came in, took that money from you, you need to have a record of that so you can just do the manual option in here. And then the V is for the void. They all have those lovely voids. You can void a check or an ACH. The biggest thing in this to remember is that negative sign, and the negative sign goes after your amount for. And it does look a little goofy. Emily just asked about it the other day. It gets a little, doesn't do the negative sign when you are in it. Just
a squiggle, right?
a little squiggle on the side, but that's what you want when you're doing it. But yeah, don't make that mistake. Otherwise, you're gonna have to reverse your void. Things get messy. So yeah, just remember to use that negative sign. It's good to have all your check information too when you're doing it. Just so you know, all the check numbers, account numbers, vendor numbers are all the same. You do that void. And the next is the C for correction. Was probably my favorite because I had to correct things all the time. We would use the wrong account number, you had the wrong date. This is where you go in and fix it. Again, I always kind of thought of this as like a check. Like you're gonna correct it first, so I'm gonna take it away from that account first, and then I'm gonna correct it the right way. I'm gonna write out that check, and that's the second line. Again, you'll want to have that information with you, so you have all the right information. So you have the right account.
Sorry, it's me again.
Okay.
You'll get
You should like throw something in a dart.
It's just me. Just know it's usually me. For corrections, if we were going to correct something, does it have to be within the same month, or can you do it across months? Because sometimes when we do a void, depending on when we're doing the void, depends on who does the void in
And
our
it was
office.
always that debate of balance for your month. You want to go in for the check.
But the corrections seem to me to be like, sometimes we would do them as a journal entry instead of as, so corrections, we could do instead of a journal entry. And can you do them across different months, or does it have to be within the same?
I think that depends on
How we
balance,
do it, we
and
balance.
if you're balanced or not. I think if it's me, I mean, we did it, like if it was in the same fund, we would do it because it didn't really screw up anything when you were balancing, because it was just fund money. But if it was 2 funds,
Right, then you
wanna
There's,
if you wanted to do that or not.
it has to hit so many other different line items.
Yeah.
If it's across.
And I
Maybe
think
we'll give it a try.
your corrections show up in your connectivity. Or maybe it's the disbursement.
They
Yeah,
do, but there's
probably.
not a whole lot of detail for the journal entries.
Right, where the,
Okay, maybe give it a try. I don't think we've ever done a correction.
we didn't do journal entries. We probably did. But they showed up in most reports. And you could see, oh, that check really didn't go there. Then we're gonna talk about budgets, just with Tish. Um.
Trying to
I'm
get
just
the,
trying to make a slide.
well, I'm trying to get the, I guess that's stuck there.
You'll notice in your budgets, I put a copy of the ones down there, they all have a A, W, or a H. The A is your active one, that's generally for your current year that you're working on. The W is for next year, as you can see, 2026, probably about started working on your budget, so you have that W sitting in your budgets, and then the H is for history, so you'll see that there's the preliminary one as an H, and then 2024 budget is also in the history. And you can label your budgets preliminary and final, just so you know that this is the one we started on, but this is the absolute final one that you're gonna use.
And just for anybody who's new, you can copy your
Yeah.
last budget. And it'll bring over and it'll clear the
Yeah.
totals, but it'll bring over all your line items. So if you're not doing a bunch of changes, that's a super handy
Yeah,
feature.
very handy feature. I added that. And next, we're gonna talk about that apportionment that's coming over to IFS vendor tax system. You're gonna get a receipt batch, which is gonna populate all of your accounts. And then the warrant batch, which is gonna show that money going out. And I believe most of you have it going into your auditor warrants. So yeah, it's gonna show in your receipt batch. I have all of them listed, so all of them came over your resident credit, your tax enforcement, homestead net credit, miscellaneous interface, they're all gonna come over into that receipt batch from the tax system, and that's what's gonna populate all of those accounts, even the ones that you're going to pay out. And this receipt batch will be the total of your overall portion. And I was just gonna show you can double check your receipts if you run your general ledger summary report by the GL account. I think I have the options. I kind of put the last option on there because it goes. So I drew a report up here of what those general ledger accounts will look like, and this will match that receipt batch that's in IFS. And then I know sometimes you get those lovely, all those zeros at the top of your GL account and kind of throws a bunch of panic. Because sometimes you have to go and hunt for all those zero accounts. Keep in mind, maybe you entered a new special assessment, you have a new tax district. So remember when you do that to go back into IFS and enter that account number in, you might have to go to your GL maintenance and add that stuff into your GL maintenance account. Otherwise, it stops. You aren't going to get your apportionment into IFS if you have those zero accounts in there. We did run into it. I don't remember what county it was. They had a refund. And it didn't show up. It didn't have the zero account. And so we had to go, it was the refund GL that hadn't been populated in the GL maintenance part in taxes. So we had to go back and find that part in there. So that isn't gonna flag in there. So you don't match, might have to do some digging to your other GL maintenance options. And then your portion that's gonna come over to your warrant batch to be paid out, it's just gonna be like your other auditor warrant batches, but you aren't gonna have to enter anything. You're you're gonna have to enter the vendors or the GLs, they're gonna be in there for you. That is all set up in the tax system. And you can run your vendor summary listing in here and that will should match your warrant batch. This is where you can check those amounts to see if they actually match. If they aren't, then that's where you would catch any of your mistakes or a GL that you're missing out there.
I have some more questions. We're having trouble inactivating line items or funds. So we go into our chart of accounts and we'll inactivate something, but it still continues to show up on all of our reports. And I'm probably not the only one that has that issue.
We'll talk to you about that.
Yeah, on our budget.
Yeah.
I'll look at the accounts, and when I gain 25 pages, I have 100.
Right. So, and we've gone in and inactivated and they still show up and they even will go over. So we use a different system to bring our bill batch in.
Yeah.
And they even will transfer to the information systems as an active line item, even though we've inactivated them in the system.
Just deal with just the budgets.
No, this is
No,
this is any reports that we run. So I run an account activity report or a budget summary report and like our social services fund. We don't have a social services fund anymore. And we used to have each one of our motor graders had their own line item. So we have like,
Right.
pages and pages of motor graders and we just can't enact. And I've tried to go in and then I just gave up after a while because it didn't seem to.
Our legal had set up for every grant they had.
Yeah.
And we need that out of there.
Yeah.
We can put a countdown instead of.
We don't necessarily want to delete them because we have the history, but we want to inactivate them so they don't show up on current reports. Just like you can inactivate a vendor.
We want to delete ours.
Yeah.
Delete our not. Okay.
10 years. So,
And or, put them to sleep and then maybe reactivate them if we need a new account, then you would have that option to reactivate it, but when it's sleeping.
Inactive.
That's an active.
Not show up.
Yeah. And then I had one other question, because I know sometimes at the end of the year, when we go to start the next year, we're doing a cash trial balance report. Sometimes if we haven't had any activity in a fund, it won't pull over and we have to call.
Yeah.
And we have a variety of funds that we have to keep, but what is the rule on sort of dormant funds with a balance? Is there a time period in which they like fall off of our, because we've had, and then we have to call and like, oh, well, you haven't used that in 3 years or something. But like our landfill post closure, we have to have money set aside in case we have to close our landfill. We never spend money out of there, but sometimes that can cause us to be off when we're balancing. And it only happens from December to January.
Right. Because it wasn't
The year rolls.
There's no activity.
I think when I was working
Stuck in there.
on Griggs County conversion, I found that error. I think that may be fixed.
Okay. But that's one of the things that we can't balance, like
Yeah,
in January, that's usually the first thing we make sure that all of our funds are.
but we'll have to see this year when we roll
Yeah.
over if I did in fact find out.
It doesn't happen every year. Like I said, it's very. Like it's like we reinactivated and then it doesn't happen for a couple of years and then.
And this is the ones that have had no activity but are
activity.
active.
But are
But no
active,
activity.
right?
Not inactive.
Yeah, they have, I don't care if the fund balance is zero,
Yeah,
but if they have a fund balance, that's.
them to stay on the recourse.
Cause I know the first time that happened, we pulled our hair out until we.
Right, you're like.
And again, it's an inactive, I mean. Doesn't have any
It doesn't have
activity
an
in it,
activity in it, so you don't think about it.
so we don't
either.
think about that ever. That's the last question I have.
I'm supposed to talk for like an hour.
Yes.
You guys should ask that question.
Jump is on the regular, but there be one, the homestead that credits, once the other one for. So it's balance, you know, right, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the other homestead, that's.
Residential.
Yeah, residential.
Yeah. I know we are in a schedule.
I even talked really slow.
And we're going through all these modules and thank you, Erica, for bringing up things that you found out, because sometimes you have a frustration at your county doing a process and maybe there is a different way to do it in the system and you're not aware of it. And so it's a good time to discuss those things, or to your point, if it's something you should consider enhancing or modifying. It's also good to bring that up here so we can all kind of discuss and work towards whatever those changes are as a group together. So with financial, anyone have anything else, like any other tips that they've run across, or they found out a shortcut of how to do something in the system? That would be great to share.
The thing I know that I. Back in February, we received a big amount of money into an account. And then realized that, no, why these that account. So under the miscellaneous, each was a negative entry. Turned around and you can put it into the account. It didn't matter if it happened in February or January. Rule of thumb, though, you want to keep it in your same year. As opposed to years, but it's not a sweet little process, and or if you need to pay it out. Rather than how gambling, journaling, blah, 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 it's just easier, and the system does it for you.
Like Julie said, then you have reports.
Yes.
Readily available.
Yep, and then,
Easier,
yeah.
better paper trail.
Yep, and we always keep track of why we did that, that's how you want.
Anything else?
I would say for anybody who's new, especially, do keep track of, like, we always get asked in our audit for our journal entry record. You guys probably all do too. So we always just keep a nice spreadsheet of all the journal entries we did, the backup information about why we did it, when it happened, screenshots if that's helpful. So it's always good to keep that information. If your auditors ever ask you, it's way easier to find it, to do it at the time than remember what it was 18 months ago.
Because you think you'll remember it, you won't.
Or even like these really odd things that we find at the end of the month where we're off in our balancing. If we have a list of them so that if we're off in the next month and it's something super weird, we're like, oh yeah, you remember that one time we had this thing happen? Write those things down so you don't have to remember.
Sometimes numbers on. Other counties like on there, you know, our big number, first take out our health insurance.
So wrong.
You missed it. Yeah, they say what they want, and we don't balance. We just catch up the next month, what are other counties?
We do the same thing.
Okay.
We just fold it in like a
The record,
pending.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the same for.
It's okay, we're still up in the track.
It's the same for like our payroll checks, like if we happen to cross a month and we're paying them but they haven't come out of the bank, we just kind of keep pending on our balance sheet at the end of every month. Does anyone still keep handwritten journal ledgers? No, we don't either. We converted to all electronic ledgers not that long ago, but we used to have these giant books where you'd write all of the fun information, like all the revenues and expenditures, and we balance in these giant, massive books, which were a pain in the butt. So if you're still doing that, we have a really nice spreadsheet that we could share.
The hand of shame to come up.
Yeah. Don't have to admit, I think we were probably the last county to do.
Well, and to that point, spreadsheets are great, I mean, and they're a great tool for cross-checking and different things, but that is probably a challenge in our jobs and payroll and in financial, and probably you guys are tax, or my spreadsheet doesn't match the system, and it's like, well, is your spreadsheet right?
Yep.
And it's kind of hard to go back. Yes, let's be sure, and 9 times out of 10, there is something missing from the spreadsheet or keyed incorrectly or something, which of course happens. Yeah. So trying to use the system as much as. Any other tips or thoughts to share?
Not to put Griggs County on the spot. Do you guys, I mean, you guys feel comfortable? Do you guys have any questions? You know, we're all here to help answer them too. So.
Still learning. Very much so.
Which I don't know, I'm like, oh, I got the ignorance out of that.
Are there manual, I know for a while there were CPT manual. Are there manuals that are fairly up to date and where
I sent them to you guys, yeah.
Yes, good one. I answer one.
Yeah, so it really is not up to date.
But maybe just send them out for all the modules. Wouldn't be a bad thing, just to send them. For like tips and tricks, like the shift insert and like those sorts of things that we don't, maybe not everybody is aware of all those short keys.
When we discussed this yesterday, was one of our comments yesterday. Don't get frustrated, just call and say, I need this information, is there an easy way for me to grab it?
It's job security process.
Yeah, exactly. But have nothing to do with someone else. Sometimes we, yes, you can run this report and it's easy and you don't have to manually do anything. And then other times, you know, we can build a report in the report generator or might have some other ideas. Might still have to do some manual work, but obviously we're gonna try to help you as best as we can. Pull that information out of the system automatically versus having to. And then if there is something that comes up, like you put it out there with your auditor, that's something we can look at. Like in Minnesota a few years ago, a bunch of companies were getting data practices act like for this open books emails, you know, all the salary information. You get all of them. Well, by the time we got like the second call or third call, we're like, yeah, we need to build a report because it's easy. We already have a similar.
We don't want to build a report though, because it's much easier to say I have no such report. And I'm not required to make one. Not required to make one.
But yeah, if you would like people to work smarter, not harder, then we're here to make your jobs easier and easy. For that.
I will say too, if you make a mistake, don't try to fix it on your own. Because you'll just make a bigger mess. It's much easier to call and have these guys help you undo your mistake. And that's what I tell my team too. Like we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. Just call. They're very nice and they don't shame us for our mistakes, even when we've tried to fix it. There was one time, and this was in tax, we were trying to add tax or abate tax, and I did completely the wrong amount, and it was like millions of dollars because I forgot the decimal, or you know, like it was something stupid. And I think we had like 6 entries on this one port, and I'm fine. I think I called Liz, and I'm like, and she fixed it, made it look way better. So I mean, that's what they're there for. So.
That's a good point. It doesn't really matter where the error came from, how the error occurred, you're here to fix it. You're not here to judge. A lot easier when you call and say, this is what I did versus, oh, this is what I did. And then I did this, and then I tried this, and then I did something like going, oh boy, now this is just becoming a way bigger.
And
mess.
it was a week ago.
Yeah.
Yes, and it was a week ago.
All right away.
I had an employee that made a mistake and tried to fix it and didn't tell me about it for like months. And we ended up carrying like $868,000 on our books that we had until we could finally like work with our audit team on how to get it out and make the correction. It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
But it was so old because she didn't tell me, she didn't tell anyone, just tried to fix it. It was a special assessment that she added in somewhere super weird. And we could never get it out. So we always had this weird adjust. It was,
And then you forget what you did. Like she probably was like,
Right.
oh, I didn't do this.
and she left, and then we're like, what is this?
Well, and even depending on the module, like, because I work more in payroll, yeah, you might get something fixed, like for pay, so like employees full, my county is full, but potentially W2 might not be free. So when you call us, you try to think of all those pieces and make sure everything's in balance, because, yeah, come January, my W2s are up. Well, did you do any adjustments? No, I don't think so. I mean, and then we start digging and then we find. Yes,
Everything is fixable.
Everything is
Everything
fixable.
is. It may not look great, but it, yeah, it's good.
Yes, and especially if you get it caught at the same month it happens. Then that week happens, so. But if it happened in June, then you want to why? That's fine. You know, it's, you'll see the transaction.
The evidence will.
The evidence.
Yes.
On the receipt side, you can say on one receipt. So like when you're doing your payroll for your township. What's like a. That is the whole. And that's sweet, so you're not putting all that information in those past, the accounts are already closed, I pay out accounts already closed. It's entering there. One change your, dollars that you use. It's not, yeah, any of these receipts that you need cost. You're.
On the craft checks. On the voucher bottom. Why is it that doesn't print out like? First example, say I have. For some employees. Why does that not come up with their names? Instead of mine, it comes up with part-time, overtime, whatever. It's like really weird. And it's no, I don't know, I mean, so then I have to send a slip with my checks and to show them instead of what it would be.
And that's a benefit item, or whatever we like, what kind of charge?
Yeah,
Like,
it's better if that's with count.
So it comes over from payroll
Yeah.
and those employees.
So it's fine. Well, it doesn't even do a account number.
Okay.
There's no account number. It says part-time, full-time, overtime, and then it has all different weird amounts. Nothing makes sense. At all.
And that is probably what you're saying by account, where everybody else type codes and so forth.
It's maybe the account numbers
Yeah.
showing up on the check, but it's pulling that from payroll. Yes.
But it wouldn't be pulling the employees anymore. Could be true.
Now change and.
Yeah. It's just really difficult because I'm always having to have a spreadsheet.
I don't know what that is.
To remit my
Yeah.
course, I'm with because I don't have any accurate information on that stuff. That's just what it's for.
Send us.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the next time I said, oh, it's something that, and take a look and see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be worried.
It must tie back to a type code there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it does come up that way. Okay.
Yes.
But. I don't.
Those are harder to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's sell that. We can-
What
version of the software should we be running? Cause I think I have a updated version of the software on my computer, but like my employees have like old versions. So is there a way, not, maybe it's not, software is not the right word, the like, yeah, like the the actual, we click on the icon, get into the system,
Oh,
like that.
client
software.
access, Mike.
iSeries or whatever.
Oh, actually, remember it, the difference.
Or where could we go to like get?
We could get it to you.
Okay.
We have it, I think, actually on our download,
Okay.
our FTP site right now.
Okay,
But one of the big advantages of the new version, if you're not running it, is like spooled files. They can show up on there and you can just directly download the PDF.
without having to go into the,
Without anything. They kind of had it in the old version, but it never really worked very well for me anyway. But the new version, it just, you basically see whatever you would do on your work spool file, your
Yep.
DSpace key. It just shows up on the menu and then you can do whatever you want with it. But
I think for a lot of people, that would be helpful. For
Yeah.
a lot of folks.
and we've kind of just started or going through Minnesota County, but if anybody has questions on doing that, we can share. And there's no setup other than the new version.
Yeah, I think I would like to, I know that like CPS, who does our backup, they update me when they come in and do their maintenance.
Yeah.
But not everyone else in the office isn't running that version.
And the client's a little different. I mean, I think the enhancements are well worth the pain with, it being a little bit different, but it's not a lot different. I mean, it's very similar.
That's great.
Should do it. I'm doing note of that. You can send something out. What's that? Well, I think we should get out maybe our FTP because that's probably the easiest place to pull it from.
This is the client
The client,
access
yep.
version.
Yep.
Yeah, that is a nice feature, just to be able to grab.
It is.
PDF. Because sometimes it's hard to view, it's good on the green screen, whatever module you're in. Yeah. And it's
But that one enhancement, I think, being able to print that is just huge.
Yeah. No, better do another, it's very interesting. Yeah, you're reading call, exactly, or page over and then that's off.
Well, and then you can also, if you want to, you can just pull the PDF and email it to somebody or, anything like that too. And you don't have to print them. You can save them without printing them then. It's called, the new one's called Access Client Solutions.
Yes.
And
that's
the
what
old
it's called.
one, I don't remember what it was. Probably have it somewhere, but Access Client Solutions, ACS. Yeah, something like that.
And we use that one all the time, but mine started not working now too. I can't even open the files that are sitting out there, so.
On the one,
I
see,
know.
that's what mine, on the old one, that's what mine was doing.
I can't open my bundle.
We'll get a link to that new one on our FTP site.
Perfect.
And then if you have any questions, we can, I think Preston and myself both in the office of
That's great.
installing it, so.
Anything else from Julie? Remember, she's prepared.
Like, if she's done, then the song and dance would fill the.
Yeah.
Otherwise, maybe we'll take a break till 10:15 and then we'll start on payroll. And we also will, just forgot to note at the beginning, we will send out a recap of the meeting and then all individual PowerPoints. You guys will have copies of those to refer back to. Great, we'll see you in about 20 minutes. payroll section of today's meeting. So the first part we're gonna start off with is PERS, which I know is everyone's new favorite four-letter word, but and new codes and so forth, and Heidi is the expert.
Well, that's a little scary, but.
Yeah, so as you all know, PERS made some changes, or the legislature made some changes on PERS at the beginning of the year. Created a new code called the DC 2025. I'm gonna throw them under the bus. The instructions that we were provided to do all this programming for you weren't real succinct, so there's been a little hiccups along the way. I think we've got most everything rolling along as it needs to be. So one of the requirements of the PERS is that the counties have to, or it's $4 for the employees, $4, 4%, and 5.26% for the employer. I know that the counties can choose how they're exactly funding that per employee. If you choose to cover the whole 9% for your employees, then this 4% is actually gonna, so I should back up. This is your system setup where, and it dictates how all of these funds are either withheld or paid by you as the employer. So for this one, if the county has chosen to do the full 9%, then the 4% is going to be in the bottom, and you can switch that yourself in your file. We can also walk you guys through doing that. It's really simple. And then that pulls into your reports as it should for the reporting purposes. I don't know, are you guys doing these monthly or do you do bi-weekly?
Question. I
Yes.
just had a fire yet, but fell into this category.
Okay.
So first month is what? 6%.
Yes.
So how does that work if you're capturing? Like, so if you set that up and you have multiple employees in there, how do you just get the 9.26% that first month for that employee, and then the following month was it 15.26%? How does that work?
So if you want to go to the next screen, Mike. So this is the setup for the 9.26%.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to happen. For the additional 6%, that goes into your employee master file
Okay.
because it is it's not automatic. They can choose to enroll in that additional 3%, and they can choose 3%, 2%, 1%. If I'm understanding the rules correctly. So those portions are entered into the employee master file. Once you have selected this 25, then these two fields will be editable. And then depending on what your county has decided, the 3% employee share goes here and the 3%, then your match employer share goes here. If your county has chosen to pay that full 6%, then you can enter the 6% here. The one piece Gwen and I haven't really talked about recently, but my understanding from PERS is that even if you choose to pay that 6%, you have to report it as 3% and 3%. And I'm not exactly sure how we're going to pull that into the report yet. Or if it's going to be a manual edit on your guys' part. Because
Well, we'll figure it out at some point.
Yep.
But
Here we go.
I've never been asked to fudge figures. Yes, you did.
It's like, you're not reporting truth. Because that 3% did not come out of your employees' pay. But that is the way they want it reported. So, and I don't know if I can legislature how all of that works. But
So if anybody's doing an upload to PERS right now and they have this, how do you do that? Like, are they accepting?
Well, it depends. If you're making the employee and the county equal,
it'll pull
Upload,
fine.
yeah.
But then couldn't pull from the employee's paycheck that portion, correct?
Right.
right.
So is
If it's
anybody
entered
paying
by-
the full percentage? Or are you guys?
You get the full, but our any employee compared to or show that.
Yeah, I might have one that's gonna hit this like very fixed pay period. Like,
Right.
our employees have to pay 3% regardless of what plan they're in, so it doesn't, we do this already.
And now I'm a special child that gets.
I'm the guinea pig.
Hurry up and get that fixed.
We actually do have one in the county that is 1%. So like if the employee opts for 3%, they're gonna withhold 2% from their employee and the employer is gonna pay 4%. And that's when first said, well, you can do that, but you have to report 3% in the employee's share.
If anybody pays TFFR for your superintendent of schools, they have really stupid rules about retirement as well. So this is similar to those rules
Okay.
where they actually have two salaries. They have a retirement salary and their actual salary. It's ridiculous. And we're like, but this is not what they're making. No, but that's their retirement. And so this kind of reminds me of what we have to pay for teachers fund retirement.
Interesting.
Because
Yeah.
yes, we're like, no, that's not their salary,
Yeah.
but it's their retirement. So I'm guessing this is probably the same for when, because the way PERS works is that the employer share is in a different bucket than the employee share.
Sure.
And so when you retire, depending on how your years of service, the money in the employer share may not belong to the employee. So that's why it's important that they're knowing that
Sure.
difference,
Okay.
because that's the employee's money. It's not part of the employer portion.
Right. And that makes sense.
Except the employee didn't
pay it.
Right, but it's still considered their bucket. It's still in their bucket.
So that is good.
I think it is.
It has to deal with the different
Yes.
buckets that
Yeah.
employees can access.
So Nicola, you haven't had anyone else not use the quotes yet, or is everyone else had? That one?
Yeah.
I'm the one. Very
So for the first month, you're not gonna wanna enter anything in those
No,
fields, Nicola.
no.
So,
We have a month for that.
Yes.
You know.
yep. And ultimately, you can manually edit your report so that the buckets get reported correctly. Until we can get this figured out. And Gwen and I have started discussions, so it's just a matter of getting it worked out. If you wanna go to the next, thanks. So this is your PERS retirement setup when you go into your PERS menu. This number 25 should populate once you have an employee who has been enrolled in that account. You will need to go to the ID column and do an F2 to pull in the DC 25 code. Otherwise, this menu option works the same as it always has. Well, you just need to get that setup piece done to get your retirement reporting to work correctly. Yeah, and then you just on with your options as well. Oh, I'm done.
Ready?
Any questions? Is there any more discussion on this?
Hopefully, we're done with changes, but I don't know that we will.
Well, I'm not.
They
holding
were
my breath.
very busy the last. We got here in Minnesota and the age percentages. I didn't think it's maybe changed once since I've been at this job in
Yeah.
12 years.
Well, there's a change this year,
Yes.
July 1st.
Yeah,
It's the beginning of the year, the middle of the year.
Yeah, that's good for a certain group, not
Yes.
for all,
Right.
all para participants. But yeah, they haven't added like categories. Groups.
Well, and the legislature did pass a law that allowed us to not have to use PERS for anybody who's new employees. But for those employees that are new, that are already in the DC plan,
Yes.
they have to stay there.
Sure.
So I think a lot of counties are really hesitant to open their own retirement plan because it'd be another plan we would have to manage.
Yes. Get it. Any other questions on PERS? All right. First of all, we have our Shannon, your dues. So Shannon's been at CPT for. So she used to work actually at Stevens County in the auditor's office, so she has a lot of great knowledge and experience, so we're very happy to have her on our team. And part of us becoming CPT, we have accounting that was our fiscal host and managed our payroll and our billings and all of that. Now we've been able to bring that all in-house thanks to Shannon, so our board is very happy with that. So like I said, for the bills, you don't like, talk to her, what does that mean? But no, we're very happy to have her, so you'll see.
And if she can put up with me, she's got everything covered.
But it helps too when you guys email both Heidi and I with questions. It's great if you can add Shannon. She's learning and training and or if she's not at it, you see that we tend to include her. So yeah, so yeah, welcome.
We're very excited to have her on our team.
We are, we are, because with other changes, Heidi and I both have additional duties from just doing support. So we did need the extra help. So it has been great to have her. Tax team was sad over tax. Okay, so payroll updates. No big major programming other than the first things that Heidi just kind of covered. But I sent an email out a few months ago. We are starting some of the framework for a web-based payroll system. And so we are really looking to our users, and obviously there'll be more as we get further along in the project, but any things you see right now, like your feedback on menus, if you look at something and say, gosh, it would be nice if you had an option that did this, or what is this option even for? I've been doing this for 15 years, I've never used it. We could have some obsolete features on there. Other things like we talked with the PDF, which would be great. Great thing for ease and reporting, which that will be another piece, is just a report generator that we have for all of our web-based modules, that your reports can either be Excel or PDF, and much easier than the current report generator for anyone that runs. So we would like to hear from you guys on those features, if there's pain points you see in the process, something that's missing, and enhancements. So as things come up, if you think of something, email us, and some of you did email back from my original email. And like I said, we will keep you updated in the process as we're doing some of those things, but Gwen is gonna retire someday, so we would like to get a lot of this done before she bails on us, so. Any questions or comments on that? Please?
Can you remind us, Erica, what the time frame is on a possible go live?
Well. Yeah.
For a payroll
Payroll,
rewrite? I do not. Mike?
You have a goal?
We started because in some ways we have payroll divided into kind of two pieces. One is the user interface side, that we call the portal. And the portal, we are making changes right now. The actual payroll processing side, I think, is kind of the last piece of that, because the portal affects the most people to start with. And so I think that's where our energies are going first, but we definitely are talking about doing that rewrite. I'm not sure, some of that too is that that was some of the reasons to bring in some more resources on the development side. So
I'm just wondering about training new people, because if this was a go live in 6 months from now, it's probably not worth our energy training people in the current system. We would just wait until we got to the new system. But if you're thinking it's farther out than that, then we might start.
It'll just be when we happen to get into that, I guess. And the other big piece of that is, as you guys are more based in Minnesota, we serve Minnesota counties. And you guys have differences, like I mentioned here at PERS, obviously your state taxes, there's a few other things with L numbers, counts, so forth. But our goal is to get to one payroll, so that can be just used for both states, and we have one process and one program to keep updated, and that'll be good going forward. But yeah, I would say, I mean, longer than 6 months. But I guess I don't have it. So like I said, we start actually digging in and see how labor intensive some of those are, because as you might imagine, certain things are that looked all the way through many programs and regulations. So getting all that piece. But like I said, it makes sense for us to do any cleanup, streamlining, enhancements to consider. Now is the time to be thinking about them. So, yes, for Minnesota counties, so that's not a cost thing. Let's go. Okay. Next slide, please, sir. Okay. Year end seems like a long way off, but it is not. But as we get closer to that time, we will email out the sequence that we send out every year for year-end access. So Berks County, we are here to hold your hand. Send out a short few pages of step-by-step things you need to do for year-end and timing of things, so forth. And as always, we are here for questions to help with any of those processes. We are only aware of the discussion with the overtime reporting for the W-2s on where that might split out. And Heidi and I looked at that last week and it's like kind of clear as mud. So we'll keep our eyes on that and talk about that, because what we read, it appeared that the overtime needs to split out on the W-2, but just the overtime portion. So like just the half or 1.5, if they're gonna do 2.5, is that what you read too? Yeah. 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 So we'll have to look at that. I'll split that out, but anyway, it's on our radar. That's and then the other piece is the ACA reporting. So last year, they had the electronic filing requirement if you have over 1095, which pretty much every county does have more than 10. So they were required to do electronic filing. What we have done, and a couple of you, I think, used this last year, is we have menu options that you may import a file from your carrier and basically create this Excel with all the necessary documents, fields, and information for the 1095s. And then you can upload it into this other vendor, which is called Matrix, and they're actually out of Grand Forks, North Dakota. And they will generate your 1095s and the 1094 electronic. So that was run, worked pretty slick. We used it in-house ourselves. And the background of that, why we never did the 1094 filing electronic, is the name, that ID that you had to create to do that electronic.
Oh,
TCC.
Yeah.
The TCC.
Yeah.
It's the same one for the W-2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's different, right?
But it's, we do our ACA reporting
Okay.
through another
Yeah, for another
a
one.
benefit
Yeah.
platform.
And I think it's different, so, and that,
Never had to put one in there.
they probably do, they
Yeah.
probably have it in your report.
Yeah,
So,
because it's
Yeah.
another,
Cause you can do it either, I mean, you can use somebody else's
yes.
for submitting that also.
we use our
So-
benefit platform.
Yeah.
And then, but we send it to somebody else and
Yes.
they file it on our
Yes.
behalf.
So that's kind of essentially what's happening here. We never did that because people weren't interested. And now there's like a different number, so we'll see if that changes in the future, but that's what we did. And there are things that competitors out there doing that, and for some counties that makes sense for that, but just something to have on your radar that we can.
Have you heard anything about this ACA reporting going away?
I mean, when Trump was so busy the first time in office, getting rid of things, I thought, man, she was critical, but
I mean, because nobody
there's no
uses,
penalty, there's no.
nobody uses this anymore.
No.
none of our employees are asking for this
So much
form.
busy. So like, at least for counties in Minnesota, I don't know what you pay that service. There are some businesses really capitalizing on that, and it's really expensive for the counties. To that report and have third party do that and things for what. And so I have not seen anything or heard anything. Anyone else? Heard anything on that? To my knowledge, it's still there. I would love if it would go away. Or put a box for the W-2 on just offering health insurance, if you wanna know, but. Anyway, but yes, that's kind of a lot of busy work and a pain next year to get those done, but. Again, we're trying to make it easier and more cost effective, because HRS is pretty inexpensive. For counties, so. And then speaking of taxes, we will update your 2026 tax tables when we have those. What we do is we enter them in our test system, we proof them, and then we just copy that file out to all of our users. That way, we don't have all these people having to enter all those different numbers and so forth. So what we need from you is at the year end, when you do the reorg process, you just to let us know that you're done and you did that and you get those tax tables out. The only thing we do not update are any PERS changes, so if there would be some changes, that's all the things discussed and differences. Me versus employee, you guys would have to update those. Any questions on payroll year end? Okay. So we have talked in previous meetings, and we do have a few counties if you're using our portal. I wanted to bring it up again for some of you that are considering. I know a few of you are considering adding this piece to your current modules. But the employee portal is web-based, and it is allows the employee to enter time. The question?
Kind of. Oops.
That's nice. She can't read it.
I didn't say, yeah, I will say. I just wanted to give Heidi Royland a big thank you for all the help and patience she has given me. 5 stars in my book.
Christine, thank you, Christine. I think she's pretty awesome too. So time entry can either be enter your hours or a punch log. So whatever fits your county. And then within that, there is features, the supervisor approves that time after the employee is approved. And then monitoring the exceptions, like when an employee forgets to punch in or leaves for lunch and forgets to punch out, and that time needs to be corrected. And then other pieces for the employee and to get rid of some paper and busy work at the county's text out, so they can access online their W-2s when they generate those every year. And then also just other information if they want to know what they have set up, like for their W-4 in the system, they can look at that. They can look at their rate of pay, all of that information. And the last piece is their accruals. So they can see what they have available, they can see what they're earning, see what they're using. And then with that time entry, they can go back and look at historical HS for that information. Then my next screen, I actually just have a little example of what that portal looks like. And this was our test portal, so it's a little bit more jumbled sometimes and messier, but this is what Mike was touching on that we are going to doing a refresh on. So a lot of the features will be the same, but we are going to change the layout slightly and the display. Like those boxes are called tiles. We're going to update those because we've been updating other systems. We're trying to go with a consistent look. That'd be something. Would you mind pulling up like the tabs So they kind of see what that will look like. In Minnesota, we updated that piece and see. Try to keep the system, like I said, with our look.
That's.
Or you just know the public sign, you know what I mean?
Oh, on this tax web.
Yes, that's what that does. So it would look more like this. So like I said, same information, this property tax, but except we're trying to kind of be. So that's what we're working on with the refresh of that portal page and.
Erica, are you adding a pie chart?
Yes.
I'm serious though.
Yeah.
Like, is there going to be a pie chart of taxes by like entity on here? Because that might be something that could, if we tell our legislators that, oh, we are not putting it on the tax statement, because it is available with the competitor,
Yes.
that there's a pie chart available online, so just might be some food for thought.
Well, and, Preston did have that. So I think the biggest thing was what should it look like and making sure we're pulling the right numbers.
Because they even had specified colors, didn't they?
Yeah.
They did, but that was on the tax statement, but, and I think as long as it was consistent, it didn't matter what colors they were.
Okay,
But I mean, I think even if we could at least say, hey, we're trying, now you can go out on the web and look at your pie chart if you
Yeah.
care about that. Just something to consider.
Yeah. No, on the self-service, I mean, for everything is really. My chart. Okay. So that just kind of gives you a peek of, like I said, what the look will look like, so I might go back to.
And one thing with this look also is that, and we'll touch on the app also. But I know, I was gonna say, am I giving you a segue or am I just, one thing with this layout, what it does is like if you're on a tablet or something, it'll change.
Scale it.
Yes, it'll scale, it'll change it around.
Mobile friendly or what?
Yes, and it is, and then that's where I'm kind of stepping on here because totally care, but
This is nice, even I was with friends a couple weekends ago when they were gossiping about somebody's house. Or whatever, and I'm like, well, look it up, you can find it.
I will say, I like the way that we can look up parcels on the tax web currently, because other programs, you have to know the parcel number.
Yes.
And I don't always know that information when I'm snooping around on people. So I appreciate being able to do, look up by name. It's fun to snoop around.
Yes.
Do some research, just doing research.
I mean, here's how now I moved it into one column, so it changes it around how it puts stuff out there.
Yeah, which is nice with different devices, tablets, phones, whatever.
And our portal, our payroll portal does the same thing, that it'll automatically.
Okay. Okay, so just kind of looking at this, and I know it's not hard to see, but over on the left is your left. It's the person's name, and then that is where they would be notified of different things. If they were a supervisor, there's time entry, there's my payroll info, which has the W-4 information, their basic pay, their accruals, and then also to their check stubs. And this particular test employee is a manager, supervisor, so that bottom right column it's their employees. Uh, so then, now we're talking about the portal, which the portal app, which Nicola has been waiting ever so patiently for. Which we're super excited about because, as you can see, this is kind of a phone, showing what this looks like. So we have been working on that and finally have been approved by both Apple and Google, correct? Yes. So now we'll be actually in the app stores, so really fancy on your phone. There's still some logistics that we have to work out with proxy servers and things like that. And if that's something your county wants to allow, but we're getting there.
One thing with, when we say like a proxy server, like, this app, using it inside your wireless or inside your own network, that's not a problem. But if there's people outside, because this is downloadable, and if it's up to the counties, it could be usable outside the network also, and then it would come in through what we call a proxy server, so it secures your network. So anybody's not going directly into your network, so it closes that outside opening. But that's what we will take a little bit of work to do there. We also do keep track of GPS location, where it's coming from.
So currently, if you are using our portal, you know that the employees cannot get into that time feature unless they're on the county network. So that's just kind of a few of the screens here, but one is just your sign-in page, and then the next one is actually a punch clock. So you can see middle of the blue is just punched in, and they would be punching out, it would be punching out. And then if there would be any exceptions in the case, like that they forgot to punch in or forgot to punch out, whatever the case might be. And then the last screen is our other option, which is we call quick time, which is not a punch clock, but people are still kind of putting in their hours. They're saying I got in at 8, I left for lunch at 11, I got back at noon, and I left at 5. And then the system would calculate what those hours are. And that can be done at any time. You can go back yesterday or the day before. So in North Dakota, it seems like you guys are more punch clock driven. And in Minnesota, we are not. A lot of counties think about it and then decide not to pursue that. So we only have North Dakota counties that use punch clock feature at all. Well, I think
By department.
my department. So, in the setup, which is maintained in the payroll module, it's called employee security. So you have the employee number, what their main funded department is, and then what time card they. So we have talked about there are different rules for different departments that would be something. Is that possible, Mike?
Yeah.
So, yes, because we know some it doesn't make sense for, or it doesn't work much.
Are there rounding
Like
rule
your
options?
dispatchers, like if there's a problem for law enforcement, they get called out. Just a minute, I gotta punch in.
Are there options for rounding, time punch rounding?
We do 15 minute.
Right,
Yeah.
so 7.5
Yeah, the 7.
minutes is rounding. How do you guys do your
Well-
round up, round down?
We used to go by the quarter hour, but now we round to ahead to the nearest 5 minutes. So if you're there for 8 hours and 1 minute, you get paid for 8 hours and 5 minutes. Very long story. But I mean, we have elected officials who never punch in.
Right.
We have department heads who just clock in and it auto populates their hours for the day. And then we have employees that punch in and out.
Right.
And some punch in and out for lunch, some don't. Some have an automatic deduct, some don't have any. So we have a bunch of different rules.
We don't have a lot of those rules.
No, I was gonna say, we've got it, it's coded a certain way, but we had always thought about opening it up so that we could, enter it through some kind of setup. The difficult thing or more difficult thing there though is trying to get the rules on a screen that makes sense to,
Right, yeah, I know.
how to set it up.
But I know there are some counties too that pay by the minute, so that don't round at all.
Well, that is interesting. Then what do they do with the process pay period and say, like, we're doing 5 weeks and you're supposed to have 80 hours, and they have 79.84.
Well, in our county, they don't accrue vacation and sick time, but it's up to the supervisor to ensure that their employees have 80 hours. And if they don't, then they don't accrue any benefit time. And it doesn't matter if it's 79.99 hours, they don't accrue. We have 260 employees. We can't babysit them all.
Right, absolutely. So right now, go ahead. Yeah. Yes. You know what means GPS? It would, if someone was out, like a highway worker or something was out, it would show where they were at, pretty much. So,
That was
So you can see if there's sitting at home.
right, yes. Yeah, so that's why the GPS, not that it has to be in anyway, that's
Well,
just
that's
saying
what
where
I
they're
was
at.
saying, that the previous employer had now that, like, there's got to be a certain rate of pay.
Sure.
And that's a concern, not a concern, but it's highly factored, yes. Guys, that it's been for their shop, it's been for.
Right.
So, staff, they want to make sure it's used at work.
Right. Yeah, and that, and I know we wanna talk to you guys a little more about that, too, but what happens when all this time is entered, whether it's coming from the portal or the app, and I should clarify that, it's not an all or nothing. There's obviously the people that are in the office every day, they are probably just signing to their computer first, their app, but, like today, if you're at this meeting, you're not in the office, but use your app, but either way, the time is going to take place. And then when you're ready to process payroll, all those hours come over the batch. And so there's no manual entry for any of that. And even for people that are salaried, like we have CPT or salary, we kind of keep track of our hours. But our hours, 85 of those actual hours. So right now, our phase one, if you will, is just strictly time entry, punching in either on via time clock or using the quick time for these entries. And so we will have some testing counties doing that very soon here. And then the next piece, the supervisor for exceptions and getting those to display and that easier for supervisors to manage. And then future things are the check stubs, are the accruals, looking at time off requests, and then potentially other self-service items like an address change, a direct deposit change, things like that. So, and that's again where we want your feedback. Some counties will go, no, we're not allowed to do a direct deposit change. They physically come in, and other counties go, no, want to do that. So, to talk about some of those things and what works best for the majority of our users. But yeah, like I said, we're very excited about this. We've been talking about this for how many years? So it's fun to actually see it all fancy and Preston, who Mike mentioned earlier, has been working on this and he's been doing a really good job. So any questions on that portal, the main portal or the app or any of those?
One thing also on this, it is actually, we have it out in the app stores right now, but we have to work with the counties to actually get it activated, so. pulling your data.
Yeah, no,
Yes, and that was a tough one to get in the store. Because
Almost like right away.
you have to get approval into the stores, and they actually run through the app to make sure you're not doing anything.
And the website, and all the documents, this and that. For daily have emails.
And the Apple Store is much easier than the
Yes.
Android. I don't know why, but it was like. But they are in both stores now, but we will have to, set things up on them.
And it's called CPT portal. But yes, we will talk about HR a little bit next year. And so we do have an HR module, and I know a couple of you were interested in that before National North Dakota. But very regrettably, but anyway, we're on a better plan now and moving forward. But the HR is basically your online database. And that is fully integrated with the payroll module. And the portal I just showed some of the things which show on the portal that come from the HR module. And then that would also be if we get to the phase where we are allowing changes to come through the portal or through the app, because somebody has to approve those. Those are just not going to dump into a live system if there's a change. So the HR module then would have those changes. If somebody made an address that we make them change their address, or they want to change their W-4 or their direct deposit. But what's nice about HR is it has all the employee demographical information that you would expect. But what's nice is it also has job history. So a lot of people switch jobs at counties, or maybe have seasonal people that end up becoming full-time employees, or people leave the county and then come back. You have all that in HR, where payroll, of course, only has the current one. You have all those dates, information. You can track like why they changed jobs or why they left, if they resigned, did they have a promotion, were they fired? You can set all these things up custom to your county. And then all those things are reportable. I mean, then you can generate things out of HR, and HR is what things. They're reporting. Also your insurance. Set up all your insurance plans that you have available at the county, and then each of the individual employees, their elections for each year. And then with that, just like job history, you have all the historical information. You can go back and look at what plans you offered back 5 years ago, or what plans people were on 5 years ago. Have all that access. Then all the payroll information, like the core information, first information, that is all set up. Yeah. So that HR talks to payroll. So when changes are made in HR, they just interface. And then you have different features to just track, like the equipment that you have out at your county, licensures like nursing or CDLs or some of your highway workers, and actions like FMLA, disciplinary action, performance reviews, whatever things you might want to track. You're able to set up whatever you would like. It's like said, fully customizable to what you guys use. And then once you have it in there, it's reportable. So then extract that information and create your reports. And there are a lot of reports that you have available. There are certain canned reports, and then there's a lot of reports that are already built, and then you can modify and create your own reports. Yes. So, and all of those, as I mentioned earlier, either extract off that cell or group. So depending on what you're doing, your purpose for it. And the next screen is just kind of a picture of HR, which again, kind of the same as we saw on the tax page, kind of the same colors, same tiles. So You see, we have demographic information for the employee, their current job information. You have an option for automated wages, which, that is a really nice feature, and that all talks with payroll as well, and then, as I mentioned, insurance. And the only kind of talk back from payroll is that paycheck. So that's just really high level, that employee got paid, what their gross amount and net amount for. But you have the option, for lots of things that you don't have. Like the employee's phone numbers, what's personal email, emergency contacts, all of those types of things. And it's like have one. So anyone is interested, I know some of you are, we're interested and now you're still interested. We would be happy to talk about that and work on getting that rolled out. If it's interested. And what we have done historically is we have created basically your HR library, and we have gone to payroll and done a pullback, extract your current employees. So we have the basic information, their employee number, name, date of birth, address, social, all of that information. But then you would have to come in and set up all the jobs for them and all of that information and insurance one gets to that point. So we try to eliminate double entry as much as we can. And what is also nice is it's not an all or nothing, like you don't have to sit down and do all this. Some of that feature because it's not a kind of payroll and you don't have to turn on any interfaces or anything until you're ready. So. Any questions on that?
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
Is that a documents folder at the very bottom? Like you could scan in documents and put them in that folder?
Yes.
Actually, it's comments on there.
Okay.
I know it's so easy to read.
Yeah.
But we do have a document piece.
Scan in whatever document.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, you have a screenshot of the.
Don't have.
Under-
That's okay.
Under the demographics, if you go under there on the right side, then you have documents for that employee. So it's by
And
employee.
then can you, for county staff that may be using this module, are there different permissions so that like Erica can't go in and look at disciplinary or, you know, the documents, but I can go in and look at their wage history or their job history or.
So you can map your different folders, so you think about how you have things saved now on your computer, on your server. We got paths, so if it's like on the insurance tab, you might have their enrollments for that year. And so what they name the files and on the first see that folder, don't see that. And then like my mention on the graphic, all of that, so I don't think you can map on every folder, but if you can, that would still come back to or security on that folder. I think or not.
Yeah, well, it would, yeah. And then there is some stuff there too with making things like read only versus changeable and.
I'm just saying, like our office processes payroll, so we don't necessarily need to see a lot of the documents. And we wouldn't want our HR team that handles the disciplinary messing with wages, you know, so just don't care if they see them, but don't want, wouldn't want them editable.
Well, and any changes like changes to the wages, because how will the wages work on this touch on? You can set up wage grids and traditional static grades, I don't know if that's counties, and then you can set up the rules basically on how those increases are applied. So if you get an increase on your anniversary date or your job start date or the first of the year, or if you're a colon first of the year and another increase on your step anniversary date, like that might from the system that project at the April
Doesn't matter if it's in the middle of a pay period or anything, it'll make that adjustment.
If you can pick the day out, which I would say that's what most of our counties do. So like today, let's say this week is the first of our pay period. And I have an employee that has an increase today, they'll get paid at their old rate through Wednesday and then this Thursday, Friday and all the next. week. So that saves a lot of time, a lot of manual entry for people. Some of our counties have it as the whole pay period, so that's a setting. So then my example, it started on Monday, today is the date. And some counties are the pay period following. So with next. But that's all rules set up, and that's what I really like about the HR module. It's very customizable to what you want in your counties. And I know counties say, well, I feel it really complicated and messed up wages. I'm like, bring it on, we've seen it all. I mean, there's a lot of unique things going on there.
Are you able to load like 2 different salary tables? Like our deputies are on a different salary schedule than everyone else.
And then so how it works is you have your employee, and that's attached to what's called step plan, which maybe you've already given it. Like a group of individuals, and then you have your wage grid attached to that. And the step plan sets up the rules on how those are out. And then, yes, whatever you have attached.
Because are you performance based or do you automatically go?
We go a step, usually 1 step every January.
Yeah.
We tie ours just because it's easier for payroll to the beginning of a pay period.
And then do you do a COLA in January?
Not always, sometimes, but not.
And
Not
then you can do that, and that's what's nice, the system, like, for us, we typically receive a COLA on the first of the year, which of course varies, depends on what our commission approves. And then you can receive step increase, on your step date, which is usually your job start date. So if, let's say our board approves a 3% COLA for 26, we go in to the current table for 25 and do a copy, say 3%, and it will rebuild that with a 3% increase. And then attach that, and then all those will project, and then a person will also have their step increase on whatever.
We've done everything on the first of the year,
Yeah.
regardless of hire date,
Counties do that, yep.
which because it's just, we just have too many people to keep track of
Well,
260
right.
anniversary date.
Right, exactly.
But knowing that it could be built into something where we wouldn't, where it could act, because it's not really fair, you start on December 1st, you get the same increase as somebody who started on January 1st. Right, so.
Well, and I'm sure that is why counties have plus either including or either following. It's the same as what you're talking about. That is a lot of work. Do all that if you're doing it again. So.
And sometimes unions don't wanna bend.
But we don't have any. Yeah.
Careful
You
that.
never know what might.
Careful that qualifier there.
So and that gets challenging. Oh, but yeah, some will settle here and some will settle now and, you know, you're trying to figure out what's that helps. And then it's helpful for budgets. If I'm reports out of here with that information. And say, like, set it before the same, well, what is 2%? What's the 4%? Like, and run all that. So, yeah. Any other questions? All right, so. Well, as I mentioned earlier, any other tips? That Chanel, will you share your little tip you got from Miss Nicola? You shared with the group last night. See, this is your part of the group too. Yeah.
I can be people like. I got that. I'm not going to do
Yes. I think that was it. Well, usually for helping you set up the time. Your peers, like I say, are your best resources. You can help with the software, but sometimes what are day-to-day practice that you're having, I'm still work in that environment, so it's helpful to talk to each other and ask, because how long was that taking you every month or every quarter? Oh. Yeah. How are you doing? How are you doing? Yeah. Well, or if you find something like that, again, ask us. May be able to create a report, something all of our counties are using. Any option, but, cause yeah, we work through you guys, you're out with the customers. Any other questions you have for me or the group? I oh boy, she's got a list. Actually, yeah.
So, we noticed on from 24 to 25, there was a change, and we had like 25, we changed to a fund school, which what were questioning. So this was before, this is the format that we want. Like the breakdown. So it breaks down, instead of it only at volunteers, say we have a bunch of fund ones, it breaks it down into departments. But when it changed over to 25, it stopped doing that and it just went to total.
That is a flag.
Yes, like.
Yep. No,
Okay.
Flag on screen when you get your repeat process.
it asks you how you want to list your journal, if you want to break by department, yes or no, or something.
When you have that page, it has your dates. First thing. One, yeah, so further down there. We could set this. Great announcement.
Yeah.
But, yes, and if you would, some of our counties run it both ways, like, let's say, need that information, so you can run it by fund, and then.
And then on the portal, I can never get to that page. And if we put it in as a name.
Yes, because we have to get back to comment.
So, yeah, and then also, like we have people that for holiday cover. Where. In 25, we had it up there, and it does not.
Yeah.
And I have to
And I think we're gonna have to add those when over in your time batch, because their salary is great. And it's not.
And then I have to actually. On the deferred comp, when I'm holding that report and I notice that it's still not working. But we have the employee match coming in, right? It's on that sheet and this is first. Yeah, and it's first.
Oh, it's in.
But that employer match part, the is not pulling into the total on the top. It's not pulling it in. So I have to do it, the amount, so that it comes out correctly when I submit it first, because I had submitted it for and they changed that, saying that my boss.
So we have worked on the programming on that.
Yeah.
It's possible I haven't fully tested it.
Well, I think we sent it out. We'll have to test it.
Okay.
We got one more? I can, why not? You have the floor.
On the deferred, before we didn't have to enter in like the type code and the provider. Provider.
Yeah,
stuff.
you did.
And now I have to enter that in every single time. I have to enter all of those codes in, provider codes, in order for it to pull.
And that would be new with the new code. Pulling in holes. That is. correct?
On a deferred comp setup, I'm not certain
But why?
why it's not saving
Why
from
it's not
time to time.
saving, that is the question. There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
that this guy's going-
Right, and
Remember,
it's not,
okay.
it's not saying I have to do it every time. Plus, every time I have to change when the file is created, I have to go into that file and I have to change the date. It doesn't report the.
So on the deferred comp, when you're creating the file, doesn't it ask you to put the pay period dates in there?
Yeah, I do, and it still doesn't pull forward. So,
So what date says it's, what date is it pulling?
so it's actually pulling the payroll dates, and I have to go and I have to change that to the to like 6/1 to 6/30 instead.
So you don't want it to pull the payroll dates? The actual pay period dates?
Well, what do you put in here?
Yeah, the payroll dates.
You don't put 6/1 to 6/30?
It won't pull correct.
Well, sometimes it's a difference between whether you're putting in
The
the end
check
of the,
date
the
or
check date or the end of the
payroll date.
pay period. So the last day of the pay period is different sometimes than the payroll date.
And I think this is a check date.
And so some reports pull it by the end of the pay period and some pull it by the payroll date, the date you pay them. So you just have to figure out which date you need to. Yeah,
Does anyone else have enough?
Is that deferred comp?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think deferred is specific to the pay period, right? And then retirement specific to the,
That was my understanding.
and then retirement specific to the like
pay date.
pay date. Yeah, so for me, I would put the pay period, the exact pay period in for deferred comp, and then it would capture that, because I report deferred comp every pay period. And we have 26 pay periods a month, or a year, sorry. So we're every 2 weeks. Yeah, that. So, yeah, I would never get nothing done, but yeah.
That's how much we use.
Yeah, no, I don't get it, yeah. So,
Do you have to re-answer stuff on that? All those typos every time?
no, I don't.
We don't have to.
Nope, it shows up.
If there
I
is,
just put a little X on every one that I want. and then-
is that for the deferred though?
Yep.
Should this reach?
This-
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Oh, what do you got for those?
I don't think it's the same.
I mean, it's the same setup. I do 420, but I don't put the curves lighter. I go a little different, and then I put my X over here, and I'm good to go. But yeah, I do capture the actual pay period date. I don't know.
And those codes are always there each time, you don't have to enter them.
I don't enter any.
You don't have to.
Type them.
Yeah.
This, I entered this type code, I'll enter for, I'll enter the type code.
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
do
that
it-
doesn't.
That doesn't auto populate,
Okay.
no. That doesn't.
It does.
Okay, well, back to the dates. You put in,
I actually put in the paid period for different.
You're saying you put in the figure date, and that's how those all work?
Yeah, but then, in order for me to, when I go to upload it first, I have to change that date. Otherwise, if, well, I feel that's because we're trans. And that could be, that might be. Are those dates not set up accurately?
but you would be crossing months too.
Cross months. Yeah, cross months. All the time.
So. Should be sticking. That's normally how payroll works, so Carol, why it's not sticking, and then you're also. It isn't quite right.
Yeah, because it should say, like if it's six, so if I put the date in at 5:30 to 6, 9 to 6:08. For the pay period, it should be showing that that's for the 6/1. And it's not, the date is coming in as payroll date. I have to change that. And I upload it first, otherwise it's fine.
And are they, when you're saying the date is wrong, what do you
It wants.
So we're putting in exactly the dates you entered. and that's wrong. It needs to be 6-1,
But then it will pull correct.
right, and then it won't pull. Mhm.
Don't use check they have first. If they do for retirement,
Yeah.
for the deferred comp, it's pay period dates,
Got it.
is my understanding of what they want. But you're telling me differently.
No, she's saying that even though this sounds like the 3%
Yeah.
and shifting the money too.
Right.
We want you to pull in this stuff by pay period date, but yet we want you to say 6-1 to 6/30.
And they changed their dates. And I think the original you get people. Last year. And then you have to pay it by nation. Or just one under. So we're paid on the 15th. That's for next one. Yeah, and we're one of the counties that's paid different. And it always, and we're one of the counties that's goofy with their time change. And I think that's what's playing it. But they've asked us. They couldn't ask us, they. Their own vote, when begged us to change our payroll.
So are you guys have PERS deferred comp plan or Nationwide's deferred comp plan? Okay, so a lot of us other ones have nationwide deferred comp.
So you don't even.
Well, I'm not familiar enough with the payroll system to even comment on that.
Okay. Okay,
But this might be a different between vendors.
It goes, right, you have a kid, there's 4, but it goes to. But it all goes to PERS, and PERS is right, we don't do anything. Yeah. PERS. Yeah,
But you have the same situation at Lamar, but you aren't running. this.
I have nationwide and. PERS, but then there's like. Vera, like, and then, yeah, so it gets sent to PERS, they disperse.
See, ours doesn't get sent to PERS. We have nationwide, but it's not the PERS nationwide. It's McKenzie County nationwide. So there might be some differences there in vendor. And how the money is going and where it's going might be the differences between the counties.
But.
Even that first started their online. Eagles files. Yeah, when I. Usually get some there's. Yeah. Didn't want to cross months. No, and they got a little bit more tricky here with they changed their. Yeah.
Okay. Well, any other thoughts on that?
Well, no, Chanel, I was gonna ask Chanel, are you having any troubles uploading your deferred comp report?
No, I'm not. Actually, that's right.
PERS would let you know.
We only report to them once, we're not doing it every, like. But we're doing it.
Oh, so you're putting it like the whole month.
We're putting the whole month in.
I was told by her comp that once we went to, we were once a month payroll for a long time, and once we converted over to every pay period or every 2 weeks, like, they told me that we needed to report to their comp every pay period.
And I think it's because we used to have to every pay. We used that some employee we paid once a month. We paid twice a month. Now we're all getting paid twice a month. I just have to issue a name.
Retirement.
But yeah, don't say that.
They haven't asked them to do it twice a month. But if they like something to do it, they just their earning. I mean.
Whatever best for PERS is what they'll do.
Right.
Give us contact. Try to figure it that out.
No.
It's for you to make.
Any other, yes.
But
Is there any way that you can have a feature that for our retention schedule for state office and stuff for 6 years? Is there any way to put it in there so that after 6 years, that information goes out? Because if you have it available and they audit you, they get back for their backs and their stuff. So I would just, like, I didn't know if there was an option that we could figure a way out something
Well,
where.
That's kind of like. Which, has anyone ever heard that?
We have and then regretted it.
Yeah. Maybe once.
Yeah, we don't do the.
But maybe there could be a feature if they're just for that piece.
Or just the check stubs.
The check stubs and the punch. Like,
Oh.
their punch, that's the thing, is because if you go in there, that shows the full history of when they punched in and out and everything, so that can be used, you know, they can come back.
Yeah.
If they audit, they find any issues, they can keep going. They have to. We have the information.
Sure. Right, what thoughts on that? I mean, I know we could set some. Children, like on the board. But on the end of the day, if that data is still out there, right? I mean.
Yeah,
Because if you haven't purged, you still have all that out there in your state.
when you purge, you still have that?
No, and if you did not purge.
Oh,
Like, see, what
right.
she's saying, like, if we put in something in our portal that anything greater than 6 years can't access, that's fine, but.
Oh, but it's still
The
there,
the data's still tied here.
right?
Is that correctly? Where are they looking? When they're looking at all that, are they looking at US and payroll clerk? Where are they finding? Like, where would they run across?
I've never ran into it, I don't want to run into
Oh.
it. But they can request it, and I've heard of horror stories where people don't do the redacting, getting rid of certain years, and then have that available in-house. They can go back, or request that.
Well, that is something we. talked about.
I'm sorry, I don't quite understand.
So she's asking specifically about the punches and checks.
Okay,
And if you have that available, and they know you have that available, then they can request that, even though it's full for 6 months. So she wants it. It's not, that's what she can't get, but. So I know on the.
so,
you can do that.
I mean, if you purge, really purge.
Yeah.
Through that date,
Yeah,
there's a backup. So technically, it's not there.
Yeah.
But the problem, if you had to, for any reason, go back to that backup and there's been file changes, we can't really get to it. So, I mean, that would be the beauty of it's not available, but yet it's kind of back there yet.
yeah.
It's just not in your
Here's why
file.
they would see it, because if they would see it on portal, either on the employees portal or your sign in. That'd be easy on that person, but you could put a threshold in there and it's going to display that.
Yeah.
But the data is still technically payroll, they haven't purged anything.
Just
But
don't generate any reports,
Well,
then that they
that's
ask for it, then you don't have. Don't have to create them. That's the best line. No such report exists, and I'm not obligated to
Volunteering
create it.
information, trust me, I'm like, I give as little as possible, I'm like, you need to be really explicit.
My signature.
I bet you.
well, it is amazing, we'll run across figure out which is and it's what occurs. Little counties reach out to us, so they're doing a bureau audit, do you have this? Like, what is, I mean, what are you working on? I mean, holy cow.
Oh, but they're retiring. Police retiring.
Yes.
Yeah, and they're making us go back.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we've had that too, where PERS will contact us and we're like,
Yes.
well, this doesn't match. We're like, we don't have any idea why. We don't have those records anymore. We just,
Have you said you've been digging?
we tell PERS we don't have any of that information anymore.
I do too, because they tried that on me too, and they're like, we need something, like from 10 years ago, because they were trying to balance, and I was like, you guys come up with the retention schedule, you guys said we only keep people for 6, I'm like, yeah, she's like, well, yeah, you're right, and I'm like,
And then they want a reason why things don't match, and it's like, or why it was reported incorrectly. I don't know, that was 2 payroll people ago. I have no idea why.
like, the one with a month, 6 years, I read, like, I just kidding. Like, oh, no one's come back on me, I'm.
Get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Nobody has storage, our buildings are all.
Right.
Just remember, get rid of your electronic records.
Any other questions, tips, items to share? We're almost back on schedule.
Like capital asset.
I told you how I felt about it last.
Stayed in there and, you know, at one point we had people just put our coming. Well, it took me forever to make this whole per department for.
You can pull it by department.
Yeah, but. You know, you've got this category, right, you have to check all this crap, and then you have to check this,
You need to run like 5 together.
Well, that's because it's report generator, no canned reports.
Yeah.
You're these is bodies. You know that
It's
first.
report generator.
Yeah. It's report generators.
Every option. 100 different categories. Yeah. That's a lot of tea. I'll call you next time. I mean, I did figure it out against everything.
They're all.
Right.
No fixed reports.
No.
So.
Okay.
What's this? The base of one, yeah. So is that using the report generator?
They're recording parties.
Yeah, what an asset is.
Kind of an intermediate.
Yeah, that kind of that one, not the new one, but
We don't have a new one for cap assets.
It's just. It's just.
but it's
So
not,
the bundled app is HR, cap assets and
Yes.
cost rate.
but is that it? Also?
Mhm.
Well, I should also say, if any counties are interested in HR, you should set up an online Zoom demo or the employee portal and I go in more depth if you're interested in looking at that any further at your counties. As I mentioned earlier, we will recap and send out a whole meeting recap with our PowerPoints, but if something comes to mind, feel free to reach out to us afterwards. I know will help, so. They should be ready for us at 11:45 and, you just go in down this hall and go to the restroom. You know, L with food stuff and then they have seating available for us. So. Anything else before we break for lunch?
I do have one thing when you go to talking about internet part where people go into access content. Maybe later. My question is for council members, when they go into the tax info or the students, it actually breaks it out. And then the next page is the assessment that they did. It's not. That's, I've got an example of what. You know, it shows how much they paid in tax, and in the next page, shows how much they paid in. There's initial assessments, but it's not together, and their argument was that's not what.
screen now? Show the time. I like it, you mean, yeah. Just something with it. I don't know why lenders are things. I've had quite a bit of contact with them, that's not what they're telling me. Oh, yeah, at that street and. But on the very first screen, it has everything. Maybe educating them. Well, because on the very first screen, it's. I think there's more educating. Everything is there. And that's all. Yeah. And what is nice feature too is it was. Maybe it's. Oh, and like, I never knew that. Yeah, I never knew that, like, very good.
Except 11:18. Now we got IBM watching all the tracing and everything, does it just?
I envision what you're saying, but I don't go out there myself, sorry.
Do you have an example there, Cindy?
What's that?
Do you have is that an example? Okay. Great, thanks. So you're saying on this parcel, there was special?
Yeah. On the very first page.
Yep.
Their receipt. But when they go into that next where it says tax influence, it's only the tax influence. Then it's there's another thing. And the letters.
So are you saying on this current receipts, that's what they don't like? Well, they didn't pay their special.
On the second, you go to the next page, then it shows it's stuff. And then what the special payoff is, the balance after that.
It says current due 184.25, and that's what they didn't. Why don't you stop up when for a minute? Okay.
Are there any other questions or discussion items? Otherwise, I think we can break for lunch. Coming back, I don't know, at the time are we starting on? Back at 1. Yeah.